The bizarre case of a used vehicle. We all use some form of transportation in our day to day life. Most have their own personal vehicle, but owning one isn't cheap, so we look for other options like buying a used vehicle for the time being. But have you ever actually thought about the background of these vehicles? Most of you watching this don't. Everyone just takes the seller's word. Usually, if it's in a good shape, then they take it for a test ride, sign the papers on spot, make the payment, and boom, now it's yours, without even knowing the actual history of the vehicle. I was also like this until I did a little research and found out about the hidden history of the vehicle that I almost bought. See, back in November of last year, I was looking to buy a used two wheeler and ended up in the shop in Jaffa Compet. This street in particular is filled with so many similar shops that sell used vehicles for cheap. One particular bike had caught my attention. It looked good in shape, took it for a test ride, all smooth like butter, and surprisingly very cheap for its condition, which raised my first suspicion. But I was lucky. Since the shop was closing early that day, I was told to come the next day to sign it and make it official. Before I left, I took a photo for reference. This was the beginning of something bad that I was about to discover. I've come to know about this one app which is run by the government itself to check your traffic violations, fines, and whatnot. But what you can also do is check other people's violations and unpaid tickets. This is where it gets interesting. So I searched up the license plate number from the photo I took earlier and got some results. Most of the tickets were very common violations like not wearing a helmet, running the red light, and so on. I was not that worried until I scrolled a bit further and found a bizarre ticket for zero amount. I was confused. So I started my little research and found out that it's actually for a drunk driving violation. If you didn't know this, I mean, this is one of the worst violations one can possibly get. Because the fine is definitely not zero, it's 10,000. And you cannot pay this easily online, as far as I know, like other tickets. You would have to go to the court for this type of violation. And that too, the judge may increase the amount depending on how long it's been unpaid for. You cannot legally drive this until you pay it off. And this now becomes your own responsibility, not the seller or the previous owner since you bought it. The police should have and must have seized this, but somehow it is in a shop for sale. The seller brushed it off like nothing and quickly tried to sell me another bike when I went in the next day to confront him with the proof. Just imagine for a second how many people are sold these vehicles from these shops, not knowing what comes along with it. If you happen to own a used vehicle, just run your license plate number real quick. You will be surprised.